question on helmets. All my students are required to wear a helmet, all times mounted. Is there an age limit where I can say that any students under the age of 18 should have a helmet on, no matter if they're handling the horse, whether they're leading it, walking it? I'm not enforcing that rule yet.
I think it's a good idea. It could certainly save your bacon. I'd say 21.
Anybody under 21?
Yeah, I mean, there's no hard and fast.
Handling, riding, or whatsoever, they should have a helmet.
I don't think there's a hard and fast rule on it, but I kind of consider people to be adults around 21. Even though that's not legally the case, they're adults at 18. But I would say 21 is comfortable. I like people to have their helmets on all the time, have their personal protective gear on all the time. I realize it's not practical. People aren't going to want to do it how I would want to do it. But it's your car, it's your rules. If you don't want to abide by it, go someplace else. Well, employees are different. You've got workers' compensation insurance. As long as you have workers' compensation insurance, your employee can't sue you. Their only remedy is comp. If you don't have comp, you're in problem.
Because we don't require them to wear helmets if they're gambling.
Yeah, you've got them. As long as you have comp. You got to have comp for employees. That's a whole different situation for labor law.
That bill comes every day right before Christmas.
Oh yeah.
Every year.
I pay workers' comp for my people, so it's unbelievable as that is.
What did you say would be better if they were self-insured?
I'm sorry?
You said something about it would be better if they were self-insured?
Yeah, it's a double-edged sword. Usually, a lot of times, larger municipalities do what we call self-insured, or they'll have a self-insured retention, which means they're self-insured to a certain limit. Sometimes it's good because you're dealing directly with the municipality in the negotiation. Sometimes it's bad because it's actually their own hard money they're giving up. Sometimes I do a lot of municipal defense. If we have a bigger claim, a bigger settlement we need to do, they can also bond it, which is an advantage of the municipality, and pay that over a series of years. But a lot of times with bigger colleges, things like that, they'll be self-insured up to $2 million, and then they'll have a large insurance policy that'll kick in after that. But like I said, it's a double-edged sword. I like it as a plaintiff because of the availability of the free and easy money from the town. Not that anything's free and easy anymore these days. I'll try to click through some miscellaneous legal questions and interesting things about animals here, and Kevin Talk, get you guys out of here. There's 4 classes of animal in New York. We have a domestic animal, companion animal, wild animal, and farm animal. Okay, who thinks a horse is a companion animal?
All my borders.
All right, how many people think it's a domestic animal? How about a wild animal? Okay, farm animal, everybody's going to raise their hand. All right, well, I gotcha. It's a domestic animal. Agriculture and Markets Law, Section 108, Sub 7 defines a horse as a domestic animal. Now, in New York, it's also a farm animal. Surprise, surprise. For those of you who haven't read it, and you want to put yourself to sleep some night, the New York State Agriculture and Markets Law is the most confusing, convoluted, and worst drafted set of statutes in the state, in my opinion. Now, a farm animal under Section 350, as only used in Sections 350, means poultry, cattle, sheep, swine, goats, lambs, horses, or fur-bearing animals as defined by the Environmental Conservation Law. Confused yet? Only when they're raised for commercial or subsistence purposes. Now, a fur-bearing animal is not a dog or a cat. It's not Korea. It's not a companion animal. Agriculture and Markets Law 350 defines a companion animal or a pet as a dog or cat or any other domesticated animal. Who thinks a goldfish could be a companion animal? People versus Garcia. It is in New York State. A disgruntled boyfriend dumped out the child's pet fish on the floor and trampled it to death in front of the, I think, 6-year-old. And when they moved under felony Buster's Law for animal cruelty, the judge agreed that it was a companion animal and that the defendant should be punished for his conduct as a felon. I don't disagree. For further confusion, You can also read the public health law and a few other sections of the environmental conservation law, which I don't know what a cat is in New York State, but everybody defines it differently. Now, a domestic animal or a farm animal versus a wild animal. Anybody doing anything with wild or exotic animals? Zebras, lions, tigers, bears, anything like that? Okay. Really quickly, if you own a wild animal, which is anything other than what I just talked about in the previous section, you're on the hook for whatever that thing does. Unless you're a zoo, a common carrier, or a municipality that is running a zoo. Beware of dog signs, I already covered this. There's some cases there that cover those. The jury can consider the sign in their deliberations, but it's not enough to create a propensity. The jury can't come out and say, well, because of that sign, you're on the hook, and the judge will give them an instruction as to that before they go into deliberations. This also applies if you've got a dog that's chained up all the time, or in the case of a horse that's in a stall all the time. Doesn't necessarily mean that it's dangerous, that's just how the person's keeping. I already said breeder class is inadmissible in court as evidence. Incorporations. You must incorporate. Anybody here that is running a business that does not have a corporation, whether it's an S Corp, C Corp, LLC, you need to get one. It's cheap, doesn't cost much. Very simple. Will protect your personal assets of yourself and your family. You can also have some estate and tax benefits. I don't pretend to understand any type of taxes other than property taxes, so make sure you talk to your accountant and he will tell me, the lawyer, what type of corporation is best for you to have, whether it's an LLC or an S Corp. Initial cost is minimal. LLCs cost a little bit in New York State to incorporate over corporations. I think we're charging $400 or $500 to do the legal work, and the filing fees with the Secretary of State are about $200, so they're not really costly. You can also have not-for-profits if you're doing any type of animal rescues, horse rescues, things like that. Things that will not shield you from liability personally. A partnership. Okay, you and your buddy decide you're going to start running a horse farm. You have a handshake agreement, and it's not going to be enough. You got to have a corporation. A DBA. People love DBAs. They're absolutely worthless. All a DBA means is Joe Smith is doing business as Joe Smith Plumbing. It doesn't set up a separate entity that's going to be liable for the acts of the plumber. And certainly any oral agreement based on a handshake, not going to hold up in court. Contracts. Got to have your contract in writing. I don't want any oral contract. Without the writing, it's difficult to enforce in court. You can't prove what was said to who. If you have the correctly drafted contract, a lot of the questions tonight can be covered in a contract, in an agreement, can help shield you from liability at the end. Again, boilerplate. I don't expect anybody in here to understand what 3/4 of the contract means. You don't have to. Just know that you don't cut and paste that stuff from the internet. It's very dangerous. The boilerplate for the lawyers is the important part. The terms, that's the easy part. It's the boilerplate that protects you. It's very difficult for somebody that doesn't read it all. Sometimes it's very difficult for me to read some of these indemnity agreements because they're so convoluted and involved. But if it's not right, it's going to be used against you. A very good friend of mine, very smart, runs a multi-million-dollar company, brought me a contract. I said, John, I'm thinking of bringing somebody else in. Could you take a look at this? I read it. I said, where did you get this from? I found it on the internet. He had switched contractor, subcontractor, lessor, and lessee in the agreement. And he was providing all of the indemnification and taking all the risk legally for almost 6 years in his business. Thank God it never bit in the hands. Cut and pasted it from somewhere in North Carolina. Every circumstance is different. Every business is different. All your goals are going to be different. Your comfortableness with risk is going to be different. A lot of times with clients, they tell me, this is what I advise. These are your 3 options. It's a business decision for you at this point. It's not a legal decision. I can only advise you what the law says. At some point, you have to make a business decision as to how much risk you're going to take. That's going to be in the contract. You should have a good set of form contracts for your business. If you're doing boarding, trail riding, well, you should have a waiver, you should have a boarding agreement, a lease agreement, maybe a trailer agreement if you're doing transportation. A good set of things that you constantly use. You know, your lawyer should be able to draft them up very nominally, print them right out. You know, you can use them as you see fit. Like I said at the beginning, a good lawyer is going to visit your business, going to point some things out. I usually go see all my clients' businesses, just point out little things that, you know, your step's broken, that's a problem. You know, consider this, maybe put a sign here, block this, you know, things like that. And they really, I don't think they should charge you for that either. I do believe that. Any other questions? All right. Thanks very much. Is everybody terrified now? Or?
Where exactly on road is your office?
Nobody knows. Everett Road, 21 Everett Road is an abandoned house. 21 Everett Road Extension. Do you know where the Sunoco is?
I know where Everett Road
Okay.
is.
When you get off Everett Road from 90 and you go away from Colony, you're going to pass the Sunoco station. There's a little one-story office park in the back. That's Everett Road Extension. It's not labeled. Everybody always goes to the abandoned house. So.